Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about the immigration and the reasons for immigration. I would try to answer the question, why do people move from one country to another, and give some historical examples of mass migration in between countries and continents. I've recently watched a video on which one of the YouTubers was trying to answer the same question. And the main conclusion he came to was that people are usually migrating from one country to another in order for better opportunities for their families and for themselves. To some extent, I agree with this guy, but I think that there is much more to immigration in general and the reasons for immigration in particular. Traditionally, the reasons for immigration are divided into three groups. The first one is economic migration, and it is the one that is most widespread and well known in the Western countries. It is basically happening when a person is moving from one country to another country for better career opportunities or for higher paid jobs. The second group of reasons is social, and it is usually happening when somebody is moving to unite with their family living abroad, or in order to get married to a citizen of another country, or to get some kind of better standards of living. And the third group of reasons, and I think this is the most controversial one, is political. And usually it is happening when people are trying to escape the threats to their life and to the health of and lives of their family members. The good example of economic migration is German and Irish immigration in the middle of the 19th century to the United States. These people were trying to escape unemployment, poverty, and often hunger in their home countries and reinvent themselves in the land of plenty. Another perfect example of economic migration is the so-called brain drain that happened right after the 1990 when the Iron Curtain fell in Europe. A lot of highly educated and skillful young people were moving from Eastern Europe to Western Europe in order to find better jobs and for better career opportunities. Talking about the social migration, usually it is happening when people are trying to unite with their family members that are living for one or another reason in the foreign country or living abroad. Sometimes social migration is also happening when a person is marrying a citizen of another country, and inevitably one of them is going to be an immigrant. For example, the majority of the migration to the United States nowadays is family-based. When it comes to political migration, it usually comes hand in hand with the threat to the life of a potential would-be immigrant and his family or her family members. And these people are usually immigrating just because they are trying to escape political persecution. The perfect example would be a number of political defectors during the Cold War from the countries of the Eastern Bloc to Western Europe and the United States. Or in the modern world, the political defectors from North Korea to South Korea are also good examples of political migration. While one still can argue that all the reasons for immigration that I mentioned previously could be generalized using one word, opportunity, I think that there is much more factors that are contributing to each decision that a family is making while moving from one country to another. And very often these decisions to move are not made voluntarily. Very often people are trying to escape political persecution that is coming from the totalitarian regime in their home countries, or the war that is raging in their home countries. For example, a lot of Jewish people were forced to move from Eastern Europe and later Western Europe at the beginning of the first half of the 20th century. And as we know, those who did it were the lucky ones, because the pogroms at the turn of the 20th century in Eastern Europe turned into something much more uglier in Western Europe when National Socialists came into power in Germany. And if you think about it for a second, these people were leaving everything behind them. They were leaving their homes, their businesses, their jobs, and very often prosperous lives in order to escape, in order to save their own lives and the lives of their loved ones. And yet, they were still seen the same way as economic immigrants are seen today in the Western countries. And by economic immigrants, I mean Latin Americans immigrants in the United States or immigrants from Northern Africa in Western Europe. They were seen as intruders, as something that is threatening the order in those countries, as something alien, unknown, and thus threatening. They were seen as somebody who is going to steal jobs from the locals in those countries. As a result, under political pressure, a lot of obstacles in many countries were imposed to Jewish immigration during those days, including in the United States. And these obstacles made it really difficult for the Jews to move to the safer places, to the places where there were no threat to their lives and the lives of their loved ones. And as we all know, those who did not have this opportunity disappeared forever in the concentration camps. Another very important lessons from history of immigration that I would like to mention in this video, but certainly I don't have enough time to go into details, is the forceful migration, forceful movement of human beings from one continent to another one. And this was happening while these people even did not have control over their own lives. And here I'm talking about slaves that were moved from Africa to the United States or other other American, other continents, countries on the American continent, or so-called British home children in Canada. This is a very controversial topic to discuss, and I will probably go into details on this topic in my future videos. But these lessons and the lessons of Jewish immigration prior to the Second World War and during the Second World War are the lessons that should be taken, are the historical lessons that should be taken into account while a lot of decisions are made related to legislation, to rulings in the field of immigration. Those politicians who are in charge of making these kind of decisions, they should know the history of their countries. They should know the history of immigration in general and understand that there are consequences to each and every decision that they make. And the history, even though nowadays they might be praised for whatever they say and do, the history eventually will come up with the very objective point of view on each and every decision that is being made. On this note, I want to finish this video. I would like to thank you a lot for watching this video. I would certainly appreciate your commentaries. If you have anything to add, if you disagree or agree with me, any commentary is welcomed. Like the video if you like it, and I hope I will see you on my channel. I will try to post each video every week. Most of them are going to be related to immigration, and since I'm an immigrant myself, I will probably talk about my experiences and the experiences of my friends, which are also immigrants, and they are immigrants who are moving across the globe and living in different countries all over the world. Thank you so much again.